So I used to be quite fat. I was sitting just under 19 stone, and basically it didn't bother me at the time until I looked in the mirror one day and had this big struggle of trying to get this weight off, completely doing it wrong until someone said something to me that stuck in my mind. Recently, I just put on 3 stone of it, and taking that off actually was a little bit more of a struggle. It felt that way anyway than the first time I took it off. So yeah, just brief story is I used to work in an office, and everyone there was like, oh, go out for lunch, like liquid lunch, all go in the little local pub, pies and hot pots and, some drinks and whatever. Yeah, so I got into this life of like just getting up, going to work, having breakfast, then lunchtime, everyone having a big nosh, and then come the evening, go home, and obviously mum done lovely food, so yeah, I'd sit there, have the meals. I bought a car, and I had this thing of like summer evenings, go out for a drive after work. On the way home, stop off, get a nice kebab and, or a nice little Kentucky Fried Chicken or something like that, and sit in the car and scoff it all. And that's how life went on. And I remember my mum had got me some bigger jeans that my brother used to wear, because he was like working on a building site. So he was kind of big anyway. And he had these jeans like nearly 40 waist. And I mean, my jeans, I was busting out of them. And my mum said to me, oh, look, try these on. These are your brothers. And it's like, yeah, mum, they're fit. A few months later, I started to bust out of them as well. But the thing is like when I hear people saying to me now about their weight, and they're like, oh, I'm kind of happy, like, but some people have like been knocking my weight. And I say to people, listen, if it doesn't bother you and you're happy the way you are, then fine. And that's exactly how I was in my mind. Like, it didn't bother me. But what happened was, one day I stopped in one of them Wimpy bars, and they've still got some around London. So I stopped off one evening on the way home. I was ordering my lovely burger and some lovely chips. And yes, I looked in the mirror while I was waiting for my order, and I thought, oh my gosh. Yeah, I thought, wow. And I called myself all the names under the sun, like, you fat. And I thought, whoa. So anyway, I still got my chips, but I sat in the car and I was eating it, but something was in my mind where I'm like, whoa, I need to do something about this. Like, I didn't like what I saw. So I decided that I said to everyone, oh, I'm going on this diet. And they're like, oh, great. And, so like, I thought to myself, okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut down on the lunches at work. Of an evening, I'm just going to have one burger. I'm not going to have two. And, and all this stuff. Did it come off? No. And was I starving? Yes, I was starving myself. And guess what? I was doing everything wrong, because the burger, boy, that's the last thing. I didn't know this, yeah. So I was going around for about 4 or 5 months, yeah. Really unhappy on this diet. So I'll show some photos which I had scanned from some old film. So if I don't know if you can see this, this is Chubby Chop's face there. Yeah, so let me scroll along to another one. See, look at the size of my face. Yeah, I'm just like with the dog, so it's like really out there. And then this one, if you can see, look at my waist at the bottom. Look how big that is. Yeah, so I was like, say, coming up to about 19 stone. Now, obviously now I have people say to me, oh, but you're too skinny, like 10 stone. The thing is I've got a small frame. Yeah, I can put my whole thumb around my wrist, yeah. So I'm really small boned, yeah. So, and I've had all my weight done from people that I know, like personal trainers and stuff like that, and even my own GP a long time ago. So I've had all that, and the thing is, you know, I know myself that I can sit comfortably in a pair of jeans, 32 waist, which is about an average size for a guy. I know I can sit comfortably in them at 10 stone. Any more than that, and my belly and sides you will start to see hanging over slightly. Yeah, so it doesn't suit me. Now, obviously, if other people are bigger framed and probably, you know, an inch or two taller, I'm just under 6 foot, so I'm 5'11" and a bit. So yeah, maybe they can afford to be 11 stone, 11 and a half stone. But for me, I know myself. So anyway, this diet that I was on, just the one burger. And what happened was I bumped into somebody one day. My mum used to have a shop, a newsagent shop that people could, like newspapers. And basically this woman that lived around the corner, that knew my mum for years, she was like, "Oh, how you doing, darling? You all right? I haven't seen you for ages and everything." And I said to her, you know, it was just a conversation. I said to her, "I'm quite miserable." I said, "You know, I'm on this diet." No. She goes, "Don't do that." She goes, "I used to do nutrition at the hospital." She says, "I'm retired now." She said, No, eat plenty." She says, "You know," she, what you been having?" So I said to her, "Well, you know, I'm just having like this one burger." And she said to me, "One burger?" She said to me, "There's more fat in that one burger." She goes, "And there is in a chicken roast dinner." So I says, "Yeah." She said, "There's about 8 grams of fat." She said, "You know," and funny enough, I mean, obviously we know it's good for you to have like a little bit of fat, healthy fats, but I mean, I'm not a nutrition expert, but I do hear people say, you know, you've got to have some sort of fat. But something she said to me that kind of like stuck in my mind, she said to me, "Just eat loads." She goes, "But just keep your fats low." She goes, "Remember," she said, "if you don't put any fat in your body," she goes, "how's it supposed to store it?" So I thought, yeah, that kind of like stuck in my mind. So she said to me, "You know, just have things like chicken." She goes, "But get the boneless breasts and everything." She goes, "I'll boil mine." I said, "Boil it?" And she goes, "Yeah." She says, "You know, any fat will rise to the top." I said, "Yeah." I said, "From what I recall, there ain't much fat in there anyway." And she said to me, "No." She goes, "But I just boil it, put an oxo cube in with the water." She said, 10 minutes, she says, "and the chicken's nice, ready for you to carve up." She goes, "Better than sort of frying it and putting it under grill pans where the fat's spitting." And I thought, okay. So anyway, there was my new little adventure, buying chicken basically and boiling it. And she said to me, like, have things like rice, like you can have potatoes, just do jacket potato, you know, and baked beans. And I love baked beans. I said to her, "Oh gosh, I could eat plenty of them." She goes, "Beans on toast, brown bread, just don't put no butter on there." And she goes, "You know, you'd be fine." She says, "And just your milk and everything and your tea, basically sensible stuff. You just cut down the junk." And she was right. When I looked at a burger on the packet, I thought to myself, whoa, she was right, nearly 8 grams of fat. Yeah, and when I worked out how much fat would be in this chicken dinner, I thought to myself, blimey, about 4 grams of fat. Yeah, and she's right. So I was more full up with that than I was this one little burger that was shriveled up. So yeah, it was. I was doing everything wrong. And to be honest with you, my mum used to say to me sometimes, "I thought you was on a diet." I said, "I am." She goes, "What? All you keep on doing is eating." And I said, "Well, do you know what, Mum? I'm still losing this weight." And I was losing about 2 to 3 pounds a week. And I would say probably just over a year, basically I'd gone right down to 11 stone. And then I just carried on. And then like people said to me, "Oh, don't go too far, like you're looking a little bit thin." So I'm like, yeah, but you know, I just knew that I could go into a shop and buy a nice standard pair of jeans, 32 waist, put them on, and as long as I could get my hands and run down the side and I weren't feeling like out of shape, blimmin' love handles there, as they call them, like, I knew I was happy, yeah, and I actually felt better as well. So, and that's been the same for what, boy, over 20 years. So, but what happened was, 2 years ago, I had this awful thing of like just lapsing, basically. I was eating, I was doing another sort of like customer service job, and just sitting down and eating. I was working in the evening, so I was eating big meals, lunchtime, and just basically started getting into this habit of having the wrong stuff again. And I didn't realize, well, I did notice it was going on. I was hoping each time that, you know, that the jeans would sort of like give a little bit more as you do, yeah. And then it's funny, some people out there, yeah, it's like, boy, it's like they just don't hold back on what they're going to say. I was in work and this guy said to me, "Oh, how you doing? You're at the J?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he said to me, "You living well?" So I said, "Living well." And he was like, "Yeah." He said, you're filling out. And I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Eating good." And you know, when people say stuff like that, I was like, okay, fine. Yeah, I was aware subconsciously that it was going on. I was trying to forget about it, bury my head in the sand as such. But yeah, so I thought myself, right, go on this diet. Suddenly it felt like a mission. Yeah, it really did feel like a mission. That I had to do this. But I kept saying to myself, nope, you've done it before. Yeah, so I got myself a bike. But the thing is, I'd electrified it. Yeah, so I converted it, yeah, to be, and then I thought to myself, okay, I'll get this bike and I'll cycle to work. But obviously cycling to work sort of like 6 miles, pedaling, wasn't good for me. So anyway, I was still using this pedal assist on there, but I looked it up and I thought to myself, right, okay, you know, if I pedal, I can probably burn 600 calories. So I started doing this thing of like cycling to work, but it still seemed a struggle. So, and in the end, I thought to myself, nope, eat what you want, yeah, because another guy in work said to me, you know what, lose weight, but just eat what you want. Just have smaller portions. And I thought, right, smaller portions, yeah. I still couldn't get back into the swing of me when I was on the diet last time. It seemed really hard, yeah, and I was seeking advice from people. So I thought, yeah, eat smaller portions. So what I've done is I went down the local shop, £8, some weighing scales, yeah, and just looked on the side of everything, count the calories basically, just, yeah. So I didn't give up anything. I bought bar of chocolate, but I bought the ones like the wafer things, like 90 odd calories, and started having more cereal, some porridge, skim milk, but everything basically calorie count. Took some extra walking, rode the bike, and literally, I would say 4 months, less than, the whole 3 stone had come off. Now, it's really weird because new people that have started at work said to me, gosh, it was quite big, said to me, well, you've lost bare weight, like, how? And I said, you know what? I done it once before, I told them the story. I said, but you know what? It's just common sense. I said, count the calories. And they looked at me and they went, count the calories. I said, yeah, because you know what? What I've realized now is, and recently I put on weight easily. I've just put on another half a stone. But what I've realized is that with people that if you hate the thought of going on a diet, but tell yourself, oh, I'm going on a diet, it's like all becomes like a big weight on your shoulders, basically. It's all like a big dark cloud, yeah, because nobody likes the thought of like, oh, I've got to go on a diet. But if you eat the same food, like this guy said to me, eat stuff but smaller portions, dead correct. Yeah, so, and that's basically what I was doing with the calories. Yeah, just eating the same stuff, smaller portions, weighing it out on the scales and enjoying. Yes, did I have hunger pangs? Yes, I really did. But I would say now, if I had to do it all over again from the start, I would just get the scales out and I will say that this is how I'm going to do it. I'm just going to count them calories, and you hear these personal trainers and bodybuilders and all that say the same thing all the time, a calorie deficit, yeah? And that's really it. So, you know, I hear people that go off, you know, they have all sorts of surgeries and whatever have you, you know, and great, if it helps you, that's fine. But you know what? Eat your same food, but count your calories, and that way just have less of it, basically. Take a bit of extra walking. You don't have to do, you know, like running. I can't be asked with all the running. Maybe one day if somebody wants to take me, get me into the running season. But yeah, I just like to walk. You know, I'll make sure I do my 10,000 steps. I've got my little pedometer. Yeah, I will endeavour to not go back to where I was once before. But as I said, recently I've gone up to 10.5 stone. I did notice it. Yeah, I'm now just sitting above 10 stone. So I've still got a little bit more to take off again. So, but I will get there. So yeah. So if you're struggling with your weight, you're not alone. But let's put it this way, is if you're looking to take it off and, you know, finding it all a bit of a mission, eat your same food. That's what I'm going to say to you, is just eat your same food that you enjoy, but have smaller portions. Weigh it, have a look on the side, say, oh, how many calories per, you know, ounces or grams, whatever you measure your stuff in, and say, right, well, you know, I'm sticking, me as a guy, I was sticking to around about 1.5, 1.6, and I still am per day. It's quite low. It's quite low, but I don't want, you know, I don't want to be taking off like a pound a week. I want to shift it. Yeah, I want to shift it, and then whatever have you. I think, I don't know if it's I mean, some people say, oh, you know, guys can have more calories than a female. I don't know. I'm not an expert. But, you know, I would say, if you've overeaten, like some days I have, I think, so, oh gosh, I probably ain't going to lose nothing. But you know what? I just go out and take a bit of extra walking and try to burn that off. So yeah, it really is all about, you know, sensible eating, really. And that's been my journey. And yeah, so I'm still at it now. So nothing's changed. I'm still taking off weight. But yeah, it's... that's my story. In the next one, good luck. Drop a comment down below, like, you know, are you on a diet or are you thinking of it or whatever, if you had the same experience. But yeah, drop a comment. So it's always good to hear. So, all right then, in a bit.